Welcome to the Raw Files. Behind every closed door, there's a secret. Behind every silent face, there's a story the world wasn't meant to hear. Today, we peel back the layers of a case that defies logic and challenges the very core of human nature. Stay tuned, because the truth is never as simple as it seems. What you are about to hear are true stories, gathered from the darkest corners of the globe. Some of these cases have been closed, their mysteries tucked away in dusty archives. Others remain chillingly unsolved, leaving behind questions that time refuses to answer. But then, there are those cases where the official verdict just doesn't sit right, leaving us to wonder if justice was truly served, or if the real truth is still out there, hiding in plain sight. Today, we step into the shadows to peel back the layers of these enigmas. If you have a thirst for the truth, make sure to subscribe and join us for the journey ahead. Now, let's open the files. Hong Kong in July of 1965 was a city caught between two worlds. Beneath the colonial architecture and the rising concrete monoliths of progress, the air was a thick, stagnant soup of humidity and salt. In the Cove district, the Dihua Building stood as a testament to this new era. 17 stories of modern ambition, still smelling of fresh plaster and industrial paint. But on the afternoon of July 9th, at approximately 1:45 p.m., the building's sterile atmosphere was punctured by a scent that didn't belong to the world of the living. It began with a struggle. Two porters, a man and a woman, toiled against the sheer bulk of a massive wooden crate. It was a classic overseas chest, 1.2 meters of seasoned timber, reinforced with steel plating and secured with a heavy iron lock. To the casual observer, it looked like the worldly possessions of a traveler returning from the West. To the porters, it was an anchor. As they maneuvered the crate toward the building's elevator, the metal scraping against the marble floor rang out like a funeral bell. The elevator, a cramped iron cage, seemed to reject the box. It was here that the first silent witness spoke. A cleaning lady, pausing in her rounds, felt the hair on her arms rise. It wasn't just the size of the box that disturbed her. It was the olfactory assault. A viscous, putrid sweetness permeated the air, the unmistakable calling card of advanced decomposition. "What is that?" she asked. The man steering the crate offered a practiced, hollow reply. "A delivery. For the gym on the 17th floor." But the cleaning lady wasn't convinced. Beneath the wooden slats, a dark, oily liquid had begun to weep, pooling on the pristine floor like a shadow that refused to be swept away. When the security guard arrived, the tension turned into a standoff. The porters insisted on their mission, but the guard stopped the two people and called the manager from the 7th floor to come down and verify. By the time the manager of the 17th floor gym descended to the lobby, the porters had vanished into the humid haze of the street. They had left behind the crate, which sat in the center of the lobby like a silent wooden tomb. The dark liquid was no longer dripping, it was flowing. When the police finally unlatched the steel plates, the Dihua Building lost its innocence. Inside, meticulously packed into 2 large outer sacks and 5 smaller interior bags, were the remains of a man. The city of Hong Kong had seen many things, but the crate murder was a mystery that would soon peel back the layers of high society respectability to reveal the rot beneath. The investigators who stepped into the lobby of the Dihua Building were met with a scene that demanded a strong stomach and an even stronger mind. The crate itself was the primary piece of evidence. It was an object of middle-class utility turned into a macabre vessel. Forensics noted the precision of the packing. The 5 bags weren't tossed in haphazardly. They were arranged to maximize space, suggesting a killer who possessed not only physical strength, but a calculated spatial intelligence. The black liquid was a mixture of bodily fluids and environmental moisture, a sign that the body had been stored in a humid environment for weeks before being moved. Hidden among the tattered remnants of a business suit inside the box were 2 items that served as the victim's final testimony: a membership card for the Hong Kong Jockey Club, bearing the username Delb Bao Gundam. In 1965, horse racing was the heartbeat of the elite. This card wasn't just plastic, it was a passport to a specific social stratum. Though tattered and stained by the passage of 44 days of decay, the quality of the fabric spoke of wealth. This was not a vagrant. This was a man of status. The medical examiner's report, completed late that evening, painted a grim picture. The victim was a male, aged between 48 and 50, of average build with thinning hair. The life had been choked out of him. The bruising on the neck suggested a massive, overwhelming force, hands so large and powerful they had crushed the windpipe almost instantly. While the police were processing the body, a parallel mystery was unfolding. On July 8th, 24 hours before the crate was found, a woman named Tong Vu Quinn had reported her husband missing. She presented the police with a ransom note from the Huang Long gang. The note was a fascinating anomaly. It demanded a massive sum, yet the handwriting was scrawled in a shaky, childish hand. It lacked the polish of a professional criminal organization. Furthermore, the instructions for the money drop were absurdly close to the victim's own residence, a move so risky it bordered on the suicidal. The investigators looked at the racing card, then at the ransom note, then at the dismembered remains. The pieces didn't fit. Why would a gang kidnap a man, kill him, dismember him, and then send a childishly written ransom note? The Huanglong gang felt like a ghost, a fiction created by a mind that was struggling to stay one step ahead of a growing panic. The Hong Kong police force of 1965 relied on shoe-leather detective work. They began by tracing the porters. In the tight-knit community of Cove Cove, secrets were currency. They quickly identified the couple who had moved the crate. Their story provided the first break. A tall, muscular, handsome man had hired them on Lok Ka Street. He had used a wooden cart to transport the crate to them. The detectives then turned their focus to the 17th floor gym. Why there? The manager revealed a crucial detail. A student of the gym, a part-time trainer and bodybuilder, had called ahead. He claimed his apartment was undergoing renovations and asked if he could store a glass box at the gym for a few days. The name on the gym's ledger was Hatu Du. When the police cross-referenced the address on Hatu Du's membership, 159 Lok Ka Street, it matched the porter's starting point perfectly. The trail was getting warmer, but the mystery of the victim's identity was still the anchor. The racing card Delb Bao Gundam was the key. It led the police to Mr. Bao, a 57-year-old director of a prestigious gold and securities trading company. He was a pillar of the community, a family man with 4 children, a doctor, a student in America, and 2 university students in Hong Kong. The contrast was staggering. Mr. Bao, the elite businessman, and Ha Tu-du, the 29-year-old bodybuilder. What could possibly link these 2 men? The police moved to the new office branch of Mr. Bao's company, which was in the final stages of relocation. It was a site under construction, a place of dust and unfinished business. Inside the executive restroom, they found the silent witness they had been looking for. Traces of blood that had been scrubbed but not erased. The investigators now had a victim, a suspect, and a primary crime scene. But they lacked the man. Ha Tu-du and his wife, a tea-room singer named Lin, had vanished. The police surged toward Ha Tu-du's parents' home. The mother was a woman caught in a nightmare. She confessed that her son had come to her, broken, claiming he had committed a terrible crime and didn't know how to protect his wife and children. The detectives distributed photographs of the couple to every hotel and guest house in Kowloon. In an era before digital surveillance, this was a manual dragnet. By 6 p.m. the following day, a landlord in a crowded Kowloon tenement house made the call. The tall, handsome man and the beautiful singer were in room 204. When the door was kicked in, there was no struggle. Ha Tu-du looked like a man whose strength had finally failed him. He was arrested, while his wife was detained for questioning. To understand the murder of Mr. Bao, one must look into the psychological landscape of Ha Tu-du. At 29, he was a physical marvel, 1.8 meters tall, a dedicated bodybuilder in an era where such a physique was rare and intimidating. But his muscles were a shell for a deeply bruised ego. Ha Tu-du was a manual laborer in a company run by titans of finance. He was hired for his strength, not his mind. His salary was a pittance compared to the wealth he saw moving through the gold markets. Meanwhile, his wife, Lin, was the primary breadwinner. Her career as a tea-room singer brought her into contact with wealthy men, fans who showered her with gifts and attention. This created a toxic cocktail of jealousy and inadequacy. Ha Tu-du's masculinity was tied to his ability to provide and protect, yet he was doing neither effectively. His wife's success felt like his failure. On July 6th, the tension reached its breaking point. Mr. Bao, the boss, arrived at the new office to find the progress lagging. He was a man used to total obedience, a man who viewed his employees as extensions of his own will. According to the eventual confession, Mr. Bao began to berate Ha Tu-du. He didn't just criticize his work, he attacked his essence. He called him human head, pig brain. He mocked his physical size, questioning why such a large man was so useless. But the final blow was the mention of his wife. Mr. Bao reportedly told him that if he couldn't handle manual labor, he should go home and let his wife support him. He alluded to her life as a singer, implying she was infatuated with other men and that her income was the only thing keeping their family afloat. In the psychology of crime, this is known as a catathymic crisis, a sudden release of pent-up emotional tension. The years of being the strong man who earns nothing, the jealousy over his wife's career, and the arrogance of the elite director collided in a single moment of rage. Ha Tu-du didn't plan to kill Mr. Bao. He reached out to silence the man who was dismantling his soul. But his strength was his curse. When he gripped Mr. Bao's throat, he didn't realize the disparity between his power and the director's fragility. By the time his anger subsided, the boss was gone. The trial of Hatu Du was a sensation that gripped Hong Kong. The prosecution pushed for a murder conviction, which carried the mandatory death penalty. However, the defense painted a picture of a man pushed to the brink by verbal abuse and psychological humiliation. The evidence supported a struggle rather than a premeditated execution. The court eventually ruled that Hatu Du had acted in a heat of passion and convicted him of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, a remarkably lenient verdict that offered a glimmer of hope for a man who had lost everything. But the story did not end with the gavel. While Hatu Du sat in his cell, the world he had tried to protect continued to move without him. His wife, Lin, faced the harsh reality of being the spouse of a monster. The financial burden was immense. During his incarceration, she met an American man. The jealousy that had fueled Hatu Du's rage became a reality. She filed for divorce and moved away to Japan to start a new life. The strong man was now truly alone. His physique, once his pride, withered in the confines of the prison. The psychological burden of what he had done, an act born of panic and a desperate attempt to hide his shame, haunted him. Now he has to watch his family fall apart from behind bars. On the morning of February 19th, 1969, less than 4 years after the box was found in the Dihua Building, a guard found Hatu Du's cell silent. He had ended his own life at the age of 33. The Dihua Building still stands, a monument to the 1960s boom. But for those who remember, it serves as a reminder of a darker truth. It reminds us that the most dangerous thing in a room isn't a massive wooden crate or a pair of powerful hands. It is the human tongue and the wounds it can inflict on a heart already burdened by the weight of the world. The case of Mr. Bao and Hatu Du was never just about a murder. It was an intellectual and spiritual battle between two men who couldn't understand each other's worth. One who had everything but respect for his inferiors, and one who had nothing but a pride that was easily broken. How about you? What do you think? Can verbal abuse and deep humiliation ever truly push someone to take a life? Or was Hatu Du just waiting for an excuse to snap? Does the tongue bear as much guilt as the hand in this case? Leave your thoughts below.